Good evening, everyone. I'm your host, Eric. Welcome to a special edition of Planet Pulse. Today, we're bringing you exclusive coverage straight from COP16 in Cali, Colombia. This is the event that could shape the future of our planet, and I've got an amazing guest joining us, a true expert on global climate policy and a key player at this year's conference. Please give a warm welcome to Dr. Maria Gonzalez, leading environmental scientist and advisor to the UNFCCC.
Thank you so much for having me.
Dr. Gonzalez, it's such a pleasure to have you here. What an incredible week it's been in Cali. We've heard a lot about the ambitious goals being set at COP16. Can you tell us more about what makes this year's conference so pivotal?
Yes, this year's COP is incredibly important because we're at a critical juncture. COP16 is all about ensuring that we don't just talk about climate action, but we actually implement policies that will lead to significant changes. Cali has become the epicenter of these conversations, especially around forest protection, renewable energy, and financing for vulnerable nations.
Right. I heard there's been a major breakthrough with new commitments to protect tropical forests, particularly in Colombia, where the Amazon is under threat. What can you tell us about that?
Exactly. One of the most exciting developments so far is the agreement to scale up efforts to protect forests, with the goal of reducing deforestation by 50% by 2030. Colombia is leading the charge here, launching a national reforestation plan that will focus on restoring key areas in the Amazon and the Andean regions. This initiative is backed by international partners like Norway and the UK, who have pledged $500 million to support this work.
That's huge. $500 million is no small sum. And it's not just about saving trees, it's about saving lives, right? Protecting forests helps to preserve biodiversity, combat climate change, and protect indigenous communities. Speaking of which, I know this year's COP16 has really highlighted the role of indigenous peoples in protecting their land. Can you share more about how indigenous leaders have been involved?
Absolutely. This is one of the most unique aspects of COP16. Indigenous leaders from across Latin America, especially from Colombia, Brazil, and Peru, have been given a prominent platform to share their voices. They have been calling on world leaders to respect their territories and their traditional knowledge, which is crucial for managing ecosystems sustainably. Their message is clear. We are not just protecting the Amazon for ourselves, but for all of humanity. It was a powerful moment, and their involvement has added a new dimension to this year's negotiations.
It sounds like their presence is making a real impact. Now, we can't talk about climate without talking about energy. Colombia has set ambitious targets to transition to 70% renewable energy by 2035. What are the challenges in achieving such a bold goal, and how are they tackling them?
Yes, Colombia has been very forward-thinking with its renewable energy goals. The focus is on expanding solar and wind power, particularly in regions like La Guajira, which has enormous potential for wind energy. The challenge, however, lies in infrastructure and ensuring that the transition is equitable. But the political will is there, and with international support, it's achievable. COP16 has also seen significant discussions on how to make carbon markets more transparent and efficient, which will play a crucial role in funding renewable energy projects in countries like Colombia.
Fascinating. Now, let's talk about one of my favorite parts of this conference, the youth movement. You've got Greta Thunberg and local climate activists leading massive marches through the streets of Cali. What kind of impact are they having?
The energy from the youth activists has been incredible. Thousands of young people marched through Cali just this morning as part of the Fridays for Future movement. Greta Thunberg joined forces with local youth leaders, and their message was clear. World leaders must take immediate, meaningful action to stop the climate crisis. They're not willing to wait around for change anymore, and their voices are definitely being heard.
I love that because it's not just about the negotiations happening behind closed doors. It's about people on the streets demanding a better future. It's inspiring. Now, I've got to ask, what's next? What should we be looking out for in the next few days of COP16?
The next few days are going to be crucial, particularly when it comes to climate finance. The Global South, including many Latin American countries, is pushing for more funding to adapt to the impacts of climate change. We're expecting negotiations on a new global adaptation fund that could channel billions of dollars to vulnerable nations. It's going to be a tense couple of days, but hopefully we'll see some major commitments from the world's biggest economies.
Wow, the stakes couldn't be higher. And speaking of stakes, Cali itself is such a symbol of resilience in the climate fight. The city has faced its own environmental challenges with flooding and rising temperatures, right?
Exactly. Cali is a city that knows the realities of climate change all too well. From its vulnerability to flooding to the challenges of rising temperatures, it's a perfect example of why these discussions are so urgent. But it's also a city that's full of potential solutions. Colombia's leadership at this COP, along with the strong voices of the people here, is showing the world that we can turn things around.
I couldn't agree more, Dr. Gonzalez. This has been an enlightening conversation. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us such an insider's perspective on COP16.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Well, there you have it, folks. COP16 is in full swing, and the future of our planet is literally being shaped right here in Cali. Stay tuned for more updates. And don't forget, this is not just about world leaders making decisions. It's about all of us doing our part to protect the planet for future generations. Key vocabulary from the talk show.